Hey there, healthy human. Welcome to another episode of the Alter Your Health podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Benjamin Alter. I'm a licensed naturopathic doctor, holistic lifestyle medicine practitioner, and your host of this podcast, which is your source of information and inspiration to promote your holistic transformation and the transformation of our planet. We're all in this journey together, and I'm so grateful that you're here and now tuning into this episode, which is a good one. Our guest today is Josh LaJaunie. If you don't know Josh already, you are in for a treat. And if you do know Josh, you're also in for a treat because we get into some great stuff in this conversation. Josh LaJaunie has been on a transformational journey. He is a southern boy from southern Louisiana. He is a hunter and a fisherman that has gone from 420 pounds down to 190 pounds, a weight loss of 230 pounds. He has lost more than half of his body weight, and he has done so through diet and exercise. Of course, we talk about his diet and exercise journey, his journey through a low carb diet and how that plateaued his exercise performance and his weight loss, and how he embraced plants, he embraced carbohydrates to continue his weight loss journey, to continue his health transformation, and also to fuel his new passion as an ultra endurance, ultra marathon runner, running like hundreds of miles, you guys. This is no joke. So a really inspirational journey, and Josh has shared his journey on all sorts of media platforms. He's been on the Rich Roll podcast a few times. He's been on like the Today Show and all these shows, and he also has a running group, a private secret Facebook group called the Missing Chins Run Club. And this is a group of guys who are also losing tons of weight by running, by moving their body, and by mastering their nutritional habits and eating a natural diet. And before we dive into this conversation, if you would be so kind, I'd be so grateful if you would take the 10 or 12 seconds or whatever just to subscribe and to rate and to review this podcast, and maybe even share it with someone who is on a transformational health journey who needs a little inspiration, because this conversation will inspire them. It inspired me, and I trust it will inspire you as well. And then a couple other things going on at Alter Health, the first of which is right upon us. We are entering the fall season, and at Alter Health we have a group community fall cleanse. This is a food-based cleanse, a whole food, plant-based, hyper-nourishing cleanse that is designed to guide you into the fall season and beyond. Really, this is a stepping stone, an opportunity to redirect and reattune and refine our nutritional habits as we mindfully go into a new season. The cleanse starts on September 19th. It's 3 weeks, but actually there is about 10 days of which that are guiding you into the cleanse mindfully and guiding you out of the cleanse mindfully. There's no restriction. There's no crazy, detoxification powders or juices or potions or any sort of thing. This is just a real food cleanse. And if you'd like to learn more, please head on over to community.alter.health/fall-cleanse to learn more. The other thing that we have going on at Alter Health, which is ongoing, is our medicinal living 6-week transformational lifestyle medicine course. This course is designed to guide you into health. It's a self-paced course over the course of ideally 6 weeks as you master the essential medicines that are required to truly heal and thrive in this world. And those are food, air, water, movement, thoughts, relationship, and our connection with our purpose. These simple things are the most powerful medicines, and this 6-week course guides you all along to master all of them. We spend a lot of time on nutrition, so if you are a nutrition geek like me, you'll really appreciate this kind of stuff. And if you're a self-healer like me and someone who likes to do it yourself, medicinal living is the course for you. So head on over to www.alter.health/course to learn more. And if you're interested in signing up today, you've got 20% off by using the code ALTERYOURHEALTH, the name of this podcast, Alter Your Health, to get 20% off of medicinal living. That's all I got. That's all the promotional stuff that I got for you. And now we can all sit back, relax together, or continue your morning commute or jog or wherever you are. Just keep on doing what you're doing and enjoy this conversation with our guest, Josh LaJaunie. All right, Josh, welcome to the Alter Your Health podcast. So happy to have you, man.
Thanks for having me. Honored.
Yeah, like I was just saying, your story is new to me. It's not new to the world. You've been doing your thing and preaching and running and just making waves in the world for some time. But I'm so happy that I finally woke up to what in the world Josh LaJaunie is doing.
Yeah, it's fun. It's been quite a ride, to be where I'm from in South Louisiana, in such a small town, to be sort of like, I was on this journey of just trying to lose weight. Like I was a fat boy trying to lose weight, man. I just wanted it to be different in my life. And I come to some conclusions and, make it happen eventually. And one of the things that helped me along the way was Rich Roll in his podcast, listening to it, and his book, obviously, and all of that. And to have him one day just decide to have me on and interview me, like really sort of, and then not only that, but just sort of gave me a mandate to, hey, you should be telling your story to people. And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. That has really changed my life in a very different way. Like I'm from a very small town, and I work in a trailer park with my brother. We also have he has an AC business, and I have another business where we take care of sewer pumps and infrastructure that have a very real, normal, ultra regular life. And I'll get at the same time invited to red carpet events in Hollywood for Game Changers, or on the cover of Runner's World, and so it's just it's a real juxtaposition in my life that I think it helps. I think it keeps me sane,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely want to dive into like what's going on in your world now, but just to back up however many years we need to hear the weight loss journey, one more time. It never gets old. I guess at this point you're a master of sharing.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm more curious, where my mind goes is to that point. I know it was like 420 pounds. I don't know what sort of health conditions or diagnoses you were challenged with, but
Not
what
many.
what was that point, the tipping point? Was there a day, a time, an event, a relationship, something that was like, what the heck am I doing? I'm going in this direction, and it's time to change my course.
Yeah, those it's more a peppering of moments. It's a shotgun effect of different realizations and epiphanies, and those things coalescing to finally, enlighten you in a way that makes you want to move forward. I mean, there were moments where, of course, I was standing and looking at myself in the mirror and saying, what the hell did you do to yourself? And there was a moment when I said, we're going to fix this. But I've said that before, over and over and over. And it's the thing that was different this time was just the more I think about it, the more I realize just how lucky and fortunate I am to have met the right woman, to have been born into the right family, right? And have the right brain that processes things in a way that set me off on this trajectory, so I wish there was like this tip and this good, it would be so much easier for the narrative. But there just isn't. It was just like it was just, it was just it was just like a constellation, if you will, of things that kind of came
Yeah.
together and
Well, how
changed
about
me.
this?
Yeah.
Was it diet or was it exercise? Was it one or the other? Or was that
Yeah,
also
so it was
yeah,
right. No, it was totally just exercise at first.
it was just exercise at first.
Totally, because and that's where it differs for people, because my background was I played football. I played football all through high school, and I got a football scholarship. And so that's how I really identified, as that was my when I would think of myself as an athlete back then, it meant 300 pound, 600, a 6'3", that pushes and doesn't get pushed. Like, that was my idea of athleticism. And so as I got to be 400 pounds and heavier, even for a big guy, I felt fat. And so at first I just wanted to get back down to my 300-pound self, my playing weight. That was the first thing that came to mind. And it was very logical in my mind hey, I was in good shape when I was playing football and going to the gym every day and clanking weights around and squatting and bench pressing and bicep curls. So I'm gonna go back to doing that. And that's basically all it was, is just starting to move more. And I was paying attention to the food, but everything I was doing wrong. I thought it was right because I was losing weight, but in retrospect, I was losing weight in spite of those decisions, but they eventually caught up. And that's where a lot of people hit that plateau phase, right? And it's just a matter of what you did to go from 400 to 350 ain't gonna get you to 300. This life is dynamic. There's no set of changes you can make, and then okay, set it and forget it, and life is perfect. And no, it's more dynamic, and we're constantly morphing and changing. And as soon as that's when I got to a plant-based diet, I really ran up against that because of where I'm from. But that just wound up being the next change that I hadn't yet made. And once I did, boy, life just completely changed. I'd been struggling to get the first 100. I struggled to get the first 90 to 100 pounds off, just doing it the old way, sweating a lot. That's really what brought me to running, was because, shoot, you know how many calories my big ass is burning while I go try to jog? Like, that's what brought me to running. And so sweating a lot and eating carbless food as much as possible, because that's what it always worked in my past, that's what I did. I went to that old well of knowledge, and it worked, so to speak, because I lost weight. But in that process, I was open to more things, because at that time in my life, I was also about to earn my degree as a non-traditional student here in Thibodeau at Nicholls State University. And so I was approaching how I sought information, how I vetted information, how I process information in a completely different way, as I was going through all of my studies. And so I just started to apply some of that objectivity and pragmatism that I had learned in school to my weight loss effort for the first time ever in my life, rather than just take more Xenadrin and go on a cantaloupe diet or whatever the latest fad is, right?
Mm-hmm. So that obviously led you to eating plants and cutting out animals. So was there a book or a reference or a person? Was it Rich Roll, or was
no?
It
actually, yeah, it was Sky Jurek, actually, because Are you familiar? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Scott, I read the book Born to Run. Very early, like not very early on, but when I was about 100 pounds into my weight loss, I was really struggling. All of 2012 had been like an up and down struggle. I know now because I hadn't fixed my food. I was thinking, as long as it's steak and beef and sausage and hog head cheese and pork cracklings and beef jerky and diet soda, that I should be fine, because it should, that's no carbs. I should be losing weight. And in all of 2012, I was also trying to get ready to run my first 10K in under an hour in 2013. That was the goal. And so as I'm running more and more, the lack of carbs in my body, really, I didn't know it at the time, but it was really draining me. I was really feeling depleted and feeling heavy and lethargic. I was getting constipated. I was having these sorts of issues. It's not fun as a runner. You want to feel light on your feet. And I was feeling anything but, and my weight loss had stalled, but I was still eating sausage. I was gorging on, like, that to me was a free food. Could eat as much as I want as long as it didn't have carbs. And so that was starting to not work anymore. By the end of 2013, I read that, by the end of 2012, I didn't lose much weight at all. I just kind of went up and down, struggled taking Metamucil and Dulcolax and all of this stuff. And so by the end of 2012, a buddy of mine gave me this book called Born to Run. And his takeaway was, hey, here's a book. These people gorge the night before on all of this food, and they have crazy orgies, and they do psychedelic drugs and drink beer. That was his takeaway. That's why he's like, this is awesome party book.
You're
like,
doing it wrong, man.
Right. That was his takeaways. But that's what got me to open the book and read it. I was like, really? Okay, these people are runners and party animals. I was trying to figure out how to have a space for both of those still.
Yeah.
And so that's what brought me to Born to Run. And it spoke to me in a completely different way as a runner. He wasn't a runner. As a runner, I saw something completely different in that narrative. I saw, bipedalism is our thing. Some animal products are maybe natural in our adaptation and evolution over the eons. However, we are largely plant-based animals. It just makes good sense. And that really started to resonate with me. And that's where I learned of Scott Jurek, right? And I wasn't really thinking about going vegan. I was just understanding, more plants, less meat. Even the Tarumaras, they ate a rat every now and then, and they had these little things. So in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to still go kill deer and fish and do that stuff. And then that's kind of what Born to Run did for me. I was like, Scott Jurek's awesome, but he's kind of spindly. I'm a big boned Southern dude, and I don't want to be skinny, right? And so that was kind of my thing. I was like, I understand, more plants, not necessarily vegan, just more plants. But what happened was eventually I went right into Rich Roll's book, and we aligned in a different way. Like things clicked with me with Rich Roll's message in more of a deep, spiritual, soulful kind of a way. And I started to connect more like, I could go kill deer and catch fish and technically still be very, very healthy if I really watched the quantities and stayed like within some sort of assumable, natural, attainable amount of animal protein in my diet. But there was something bigger that started to happen in my life where I just felt like it wasn't useful for me at all. And to just go participate in it, just to go have fun, is really the main focus. That's what I was really wanting to do, is go have fun, not really to collect food. I moved completely away from that idea altogether, and have since then been completely plant-based since like April of 2013. But that was from really Rich Roll's book is what sent me over the hump, because we had such similar stories. And I was like, if he can do it, I can do it too.
Yeah. There's for whatever reason, there's always the hiccup in people's mind, like, well, I see all these people thriving on a plant-based diet, but I'm not sure, I
Hmm.
must be, there's always that angel devil kind of conversation.
There's always some yeah, but that sounds real
Yeah, but
plausible to the person. Yeah.
that big yeah, but
Hmm.
well, one of the things that really strikes me from your story, Josh, is your connection with your culture as a hunter, a fisherman, a football player, the Southern boy. And I'm curious about how you fit in your world, because you're still in the same world. You didn't move to
Yeah.
California or New York or any other like metropolis. You're still in the same world. So how is it to live in your world but be a completely different person, both physically in your body, but also, I would imagine, like kind of socially, culturally, spiritually? Like, how is
Politically.
that?
I've done a 180 in my life, and to some people that I've known my whole life, maybe that makes me a turncoat or a traitor or something. Um, so yeah, there's that. There's that reality. There are those people in my life, and there are people that have just not only stuck by me and stayed my friend all through me making such a massive change in my life. And I got to tell you, sometimes I think that maybe it makes people feel defensive how all in I am. Like because I'm all in, I'm suggesting that they're not doing enough, which and often in a lot of cases that's on you. You probably aren't doing enough to to ensure the things you say you care about, like sticking around for your family and having capacity to help and all of that stuff, right? um I forgot what we were talking about. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
No
got off
worries.
on a
Just
rabbit hole.
No worries. Just the feeling of fitting in or not fitting in. I don't know how you're feeling in your culture,
Yeah.
being a different person.
Yeah, it's very different. It's different. So there are people who have not only stuck by me as I struggled through all of these identity crises along the way, I guess you might say. But there's people who jumped on board 100% with me, and I have to think about those people more than the ones who think what I'm doing is a little too much, or runs our co. Yeah, but I just thinks it's somehow thumbing a nose at who we are as Louisianans or something. Um, and really, you know, who we are as Louisianans is just talking about sheer volume. We like to think of ourselves as sportsman paradise, and we're hunters and fishermen and football lovers. Um, and but what we are is heart attack havers, like in a big way. And if there's anything that's indelibly Louisianian, it's dying of chronic disease, especially heart disease. And that's not something, and I understand now all the inputs that go into that. So gratons and boudin and hoghead cheese, they don't get a pass just because we used to eat that at the dare camp. It doesn't get a pass from me because I watched my grandpa die. I know now what vasoconstriction does to your brain over the decades. And so there's that standoff that I constantly dance around with people I love dearly. um Not only in the food, but also, like you were talking about, I've also opened up my heart in a different way, in a different way than I used to be, man. Like, and I feel for people on purpose because i I want to. And that puts you in a different place. It makes you weirdly like the enemy to the working man. I mean, I work too. I don't. I mean, and so that's what's frustrating is I like to. I've completely changed in how I think about, say, entitlement programs and what we can be doing better as a country, and all of these different things have really you know changed in my mind through that prism of compassion, which was seeded by my food, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that's an unknown, a little known or unknown effect of really cleaning up your diet and subsequently your health and heart and mind.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I hear plenty of stories and, personally connect with that as well. And it's interesting because I feel like that's kind of, in the diet wars of today, I think vegans, which obviously it's a diet and it's an ideology.
Yeah.
And I think that people see vegans as like these ultra aware kind of like, just they put themselves on some high horse pedestal.
Yeah, well, they already have, a lot of them have the self-described or the self-chosen moniker of ethical right there in the name as a prefix to vegan. And that's not a very good starting point. Like, hey, I'm an ethical human, and because you like,
So that makes you an unethical human.
right? Come on, like, to me, that's so that when you make a big deal out of making sure that you say you're an ethical vegan, it's akin to, like, a used car salesman's plea for you to trust them. Like, you shouldn't need to tell me that. It should be obvious.
Yeah.
Right? By the way you behave.
Do you believe that non-vegans can be ethically non-vegan?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
because
you must,
ethics is subjective. I mean, in my opinion, like, so my thing is this: if someone's living in Alaska and they kill caribou because they know it's going to be a rough winter and it's a source of calories, not protein, it's a source of freaking calories for the winter, I'm not hating on that person, man.
Right.
I'm not. I'm sorry. I don't think he should stack them up, kill 13 of them, and like, I think that you can get absurd. But when it's done, and humans are problem solvers, and sometimes that problem to be solved, honestly, sorry, is to kill another animal. It happens every day on this planet. And to think that we're somehow privy to an existence without that reality is a little lofty in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And so, can you be an ethical human and still kill other animals from time to time? Yes.
Yeah. And you mentioned that at some point you stopped hunting. When was that? Was that when you started eating plants, or was there this kind of middle area for you where it's like, oh, I'm going to eat plants and I'm going to hunt? And did it just
there was a middle area. There was a middle area where I would be at the camp as a vegan-ish, like, whatever you want to call me, but I wasn't eating anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't eat, and so that's where it started to really have an issue with me. It's like, because I went one day and I filled the ice chest with speckled trout, had a blast, but I'm not eating any of them. And by this point, my brother wasn't eating that either. And we were 2 of 3 people who loaded the boat with 75 speckled trout. And my brother, I'll never forget, we looked at each other, like, could you imagine if speckled trout could vocalize like puppies? And if the bottom of this boat was full of speckled trout just screaming like little puppies that had just had hooks ripped out of their face. And at that point, like, I was like, I'm not eating them. And that rubs against the ethos of what I was taught from the beginning when I got my first BB gun. If you're not going to eat it, don't kill it. And so in 2014, even though I was plant-based for like an entire year, I still went fishing. I don't think I had killed a deer, but I can't remember the last deer I killed. I'll tell you that story. And I wrote a blog post about it on my website because it was just such a powerful moment for me, because it was the last hunt that I'd ever been on with my grandfather, who's a big influence in my life. I call him Bam Bam, and he had vascular vascular dementia really bad towards the end of the last 3 years of his life. It was rough. But I know he had heart disease my entire life. He'd always been taking pills and had nitroglycerin things with him when we'd go on the boat and go fishing and everything. And so, you know, that was, you know, that was everything. That was everything to me. And it was just a hard thing for me to really sort of move away from, but that's eventually, if I'm not gonna kill it, if I'm not gonna eat it, killing it became something that I still struggle with, but I'm not gonna. But my grandfather and I were hunting that day, and I shot a deer, dropped it, and then he is older by this point, so he has to move around, and I help him get to a spot where he can make a shot. But by this time, the deer is moving away from us, and he shoots, and he didn't shoot it where it would kill it right away. And so I had to go track this deer and find it. And I found it, and it was laying there, and it reminded me of my Labrador. You know, it was a young buck, and it was laying there in it was thick woods, like undergrowth. So we hunted in pine country where they would clear cut, and this was like, say, 5 or 10 years after it had been clear cut. So still a lot of undergrowth. So I had to push my way through a lot of briars. And when you finally found him, I was right up on him, and he's just laying there. And it broke my heart, dude. It crushed me. I had to go back to the truck and get the gun because I didn't know how to kill it. I couldn't stab it with my knife. I wasn't going to hit it with a rock or a limb or something. And so I had to go back to get my high-powered rifle, put it on its heart, watch it look at me, wondering what I'm doing, and shoot it. And at that point, like, I was already moving towards this life. And I was like, I can't do it anymore. It just so happened at the same time, there was also some interpersonal turmoil in our hunting camp, and it just became a good point to exit. And I exited. I walked away from it. But yeah, that was a very deep experience for me. And you know what, man? I don't mind that punctuating my hunting life. I think is a poignant way to go out. For me to have to kill a deer up close and personal for the very first time. I had always done it from the comfort of my deer stand and a high-powered rifle and a scope. And to have to go up, I had killed squirrels and rabbits and ducks and doves up close and personal, but to see this big mammal with eyes and a face, and just, he had an expression of just like, what the hell's going on? What do you want? What are you doing? It crushed me. It crushed me, man.
Yeah. It seems like that's kind of the clincher for you, and because it seems like at that point you were plant-based for some period of time, but it was like sunk in.
Yeah. It sunk in that this is something bigger. This is a way for me. As much as it pains me and as much mourning is going to be required, this is literally me stepping completely away from an old life.
Yeah.
And creating a new one and trying to bring as many people as I can with me because I love them and miss them.
Yeah.
And it's happening. I got some people coming.
They're coming. You're walking your walk, or running your run more accurately.
Yeah. Oh, they got some hard-headed folks around here, though, man. Trust me. I was hanging out with some Saturday. It was like, we talking about. I was helping somebody pour cement, and this older Cajun guy, fun to be around, hard working, good, I mean, salt of the earth humans. But we on the screed board, you know what that is? Like where you running this board across the top of a concrete form to scrape off the cement, so then you can finish it and make it nice and flat and everything. And it's a hard job. You're in the sun, you bent over all day. And so I'm working with him, and he had done this plant-based jumpstart with me a couple of like last year. And for the little period that he was on it, he started to lose weight. His biometrics got better. His doctor was starting to titrate some of his meds and stuff, but he stopped doing it and got back on all his meds and put back on all his weight. And the whole day we out there in the sun working is just, complaining about how bad he feels and asking, anything that you can do for this or anything? Because now I'm a wealth of knowledge to him, but you're not listening to the very basic thing I'm telling you to do.
Come on, buddy.
You want to play symptom whack-a-mole, right? You want to play symptom whack-a-mole, which is swollen ankles and your lightheadedness and your weight. There's one problem. There's one solution, and yeah, but you just keep living it and keep loving those folks, and hopefully they'll go, oh, Josh, damn, you've been saying that for 5 years, man. All right, okay, I see you. Yeah. So just live for that day and love them in the meantime, right? It'll
penetrate that thick skull for sure.
We call that a tête deux here on the bayou. That's a hard head in French.
Tête deux. Well, as you shifted from hunting animals and fishing with your friends and family, sounds like you made time for running. That
yes.
did that become, when did that become your, what is it for you? It seems like
running is my hunting. Like that's what I tell people all the time, and I think it might rub vegans the wrong way, but I still totally identify as a hunter. I hunt all day. I know what animals are doing. I've studied behavior. I'm working hard. I'm grinding. I'm taking signs. I'm paying attention. I'm covering ground. Like I'm doing all of those things. All those itches are getting scratched in a more authentic way than a box blind and a four-wheeler and a high-powered rifle ever did as I look back on it. So my ultra marathoning, and the first time I did a trail race, the first time I did an ultra, which was Destin, Florida in 2015. And I did that race with my buddies. And that trip just felt so much like a hunting trip or a fishing trip. We were running, it wasn't like a marathon, that's all I had done up until that point, where is get on the road, get laced up, everything's optimal conditions. Hopefully the weather's cooperating. Marathon season is when it's cooler, so, and you hit the road and it's hold that pace to 26.2, baby. And that was my experience with endurance running up until that point. And then I did my first, and so it never really, that part, it was a new social thing for me. And it was replacing hunting and fishing in that way. Like it was something socially to do on the weekends. My inner Louisiana sportsman. It was that morning on the beaches in Destin, Florida with my buddies running 31 miles for the very first time in my life. It makes me want to cry just talking about it, because there's a lot of nostalgia in a sunrise over the Gulf of Mexico for me. There's a lot of nostalgia in the fresh ocean breeze hitting you in your face. It fills your nostrils in a way that you just can't imagine. That salty, sweet air. It's beautiful, man. And, the added difficulty of running sideways on a freaking beach or in the really, really soft sand. And my Bam Bam was there. My Bam Bam was there for that race in a hub around. And he had just started to lose weight himself. He was on a plant-based diet by then himself. And he was there, and it all just felt like a full circle moment for me. Like, oh, this is all of it. This is everything that I've learned about hunting and fishing, about making friends, about being a good person, all wrapped up into one. the most authentic thing I can do. And it seems crazy on the outside looking in, but if you ever go and suffer through the day's work that an ultra marathon is, you'll see what I mean. It's powerful, and ultra marathoning is what brought me to feel like I am forever changed, forever, because all of those things, the hunting and the fishing and stuff, has all been answered by trail running and getting out and seeing vistas, mountain vistas, and ocean shorelines, and like it answers it all. And I can do it on my legs. I don't need a boat. I don't need a four-wheeler, although I have them. I still have a boat. I have a really nice boat that my grandfather left me and my brother, and it's an amazing boat. I just don't go fishing in it anymore. I guess you just need to take trips and show people around South Louisiana in it.
When did you just feel like, oh, 10Ks, marathons, yeah, I got that stuff? Like, when did you feel like, oh, I just need to push my ass beyond perceived limits? When did that?
Peer pressure. Just like hunting and fishing. Like, you don't drink a half gallon of whiskey without some encouragement, and it's the same thing. You don't like sign up for one of these crazy events without somebody in your ear like, yeah, you can do it, bro. Come on, man. We doing it. We signed up for, come on, man. You in shape. You faster than me in the marathon. And so my very good buddies, Jean Aponte and Wale Nakan, were in a run group with me in Thibodeau here. And, we were all training with each other. My goals were to run a fast marathon. Jean's goal, although he's faster in a marathon than I am now, his goal was always to just pepper the universe with 100-mile buckles. I mean, the man has been on a mission since our very first ultra. Like, I did one 100-mile race since then. He's done several plus Badwater, right? And so he's just gone off on this crazy trajectory on his own. But that guy in particular, Jean, he's the person that talked me into doing it, and Wally, his buddy, my buddy, our big brother, Wally, into doing it. And they left me I was like, I couldn't hang with him anymore at mile 25, which was funny at the time because neither one of them could run as fast as marathon as I could run. So I'm like, oh, this will be fine. I'll just hang out with these guys, and we'll just have a good day. Shit. By mile 25, I had to walk. I couldn't deal anymore. I was just hurting so bad. It was a lot of work. But yeah, that's how you sign. That's what it was. That's what I mean. Community got me there. So because I opened myself up and I started going to run groups and I started making new connections with new people outside of the community that helped me get to be 420 pounds and on the verge of a heart attack. That's what helped draw my gravity. That's what started to develop some gravity in another direction, towards another thing. And just serendipitously, I signed up I was introduced to ultra running through my good friend Jean, and I've been chasing him ever since. I love it. I've run myself. I've run PRs and crazy races and stuff myself, all just chasing my buddies that I can't keep up with. I'm like, I think it's so funny that I get all of this publicity and people want to ask me questions and have me on their podcast, and I'm on magazine cover. And of my three friends, I am the by far the weakest ultra runner.
Well, you've got obviously some other strengths. And I've never run an ultra race myself, so I don't really know the feeling. I mean, I have pushed myself in other ways for sure, but I've heard two different stories. Yeah. I've heard the story of that's the last time I'll ever do that, or
everybody says that, yeah.
Or I'm totally hooked. Oh, but you're saying it's both. That's the last
So,
time, and I'm
look,
totally hooked.
every time you go, good God, I'm never doing that again. And within
But
12
come on,
hours,
Josh.
within 12 hours, you're starting to open up your phone and look at Ultra Sign Up, which is where you go find these crazy races to sign up for. And you're like, oh, there's well, I did this in this many hours. If I just did this, I could probably get, and you start going right back there. And then the peer pressure comes in again. Hey man, I saw you like the Beaverhead 100 Facebook page. You thinking about signing up? And it's like, next thing, here we go, right? But it's beautiful. It's beautiful, right?
Yeah.
I love
So
it.
on that note, where are you in your ultra career? Are you still signing up? Still out there?
Yeah. I got a busy calendar ahead of me this year. I'm really recovering from some downtime. I hurt myself after my 100-miler in 2016. I really ramped up my training, started trying to get ready. I wanted to Boston qualify, so I ran some fast marathons. Did a lot of dumb training back then. I didn't have a coach yet, and really hurt myself. I have an old football injury and a lot of like just arthritic bone pain and some bulging disc stuff in my low back. Not only from football, but also, I mean, I've been morbidly obese for most of my life, so I'm sure there's some muscle atrophy in places where my body just literally couldn't bend, where I can do these things now, so I really have been recovering from an injury since spring of 2017. I've done a few ultras since then, but I'm really starting to feel like I'm doing pretty good right now. And so I'm signed up for the Marine Corps Marathon 50K, which is the first one they're doing. That's on the 27th of October. So I'm excited for, but that's going to be a ramp up sort of speed and endurance to get my ultra legs under me. I've done a few 50Ks recently, but I feel good about this one, going and really charging. And then I've got a race called the Georgia Death Race in March. It's scarier than it sounds. It's just a cool name, but it's a 75-mile race, and there's a lot of climbing and technical stuff in it. And that I'm doing that race as sort of like a ramp up or a build up, like a dress rehearsal, if you will, for the Leadville 100, which I'm in for 2020, which is August 2020, which is a race I read about in Scott Jurick's book and in Born to Run. And ever since I heard about that race, I just thought it was I was flabbergasted to hear that it was even humanly possible. And I'm signed up for that race in 2020. It's mind-boggling if I stop and think about it too long.
Did I see you run the marathon, the Leadville Marathon?
Yeah, I've been up there a few times for that. Right.
Okay, cool. But now you're at the 100.
Now I'm signed up for the 100, and I'm signed up for the marathon again this year too. I want to use it as another training run. I'm going to try and get up there for a couple of training trips. I would really like to have been on every inch of that course before I run it.
Awesome. So, well, I'm just down the hill, not, a few hills down. I'm in Carbondale, Colorado.
Oh, all right. Yeah.
Down the valley from Aspen. So
awesome.
Not too far away.
That's so beautiful. It's so pretty, man. Gosh, I'm so jealous of y'all. It's gorgeous up there.
These Rocky Mountains, yeah.
Infectious.
Something. Yeah. Well, there was one other topic that I really like the way that you look at this issue that I think a lot of people struggle with, and I just kind of cracked into your Sick to Fit book, which is it's wonderful that you're offering it free, right, on Amazon Kindle. Just like read it.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
Well, yeah, of course, but not everyone does that. Gives their stuff away for free. But
look, man, I'm lucky. Yeah. Like, there's so much about all of this success that weight loss, because there's no like financial success or professional. I mean, I'm still just a guy living my life over here. I
Yeah.
just happen to go cool places sometimes, but this is just it's so much more to do with luck. The longer I live, the more I'm realizing it's got so much more to do with luck. And if that's really the case, then who am I to to not just give it to someone?
Yeah. Well, anyways, thanks for giving it.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful that people are receiving it and acting on it and allowing it to penetrate their thick skulls. Uh, we live in a thick skulled world.
Yes, we do.
But anyways, you talk about, your family, and, you're have this genetic predisposition, so to speak. You've got
Yeah.
obese parents and grandparents and that, the ancestors up on the line. But you have this relationship with that that's like allows you some freedom to live your own destiny, because I think a lot of people just kind of say, oh, this is just my genetic fate. So
Hmm.
talk to me about your relationships with your genetics, because obviously you're showing the world that, like, listen, genetics mean kind of nothing. It's all about your
Yeah.
environment. It's all about your epigenetics. That's really what I hear you saying.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
was it always like, did you always have that, or were you for a while thinking, oh, I'm just kind of another fat guy in the family?
Yeah, totally. Like I thought that's what, I was fat and I was probably gonna die of a heart attack like everyone else. And it's a mystery why the LaJaunies were cursed with such genetics. That's how I live my life. Like, is live it up, because who knows? I mean, I had it on both sides. My mom's side, uh, my grandmother died of a heart attack. Um, on my dad's side, my grandfather, he died of his fourth heart attack, finally killed him, his fourth one. Um, my dad's older brother had a stroke. My dad's had a massive heart attack. Um, and you see it all around you. Um, my dad's family is Louisiana family. My mom's family is mostly Mississippi. And same thing there. I mean, it's the same thing. You see heart disease and cancer and, you know, all of that. And I realized very as I'm watching like Forks Over Knives and these things, and I hear for the first time, genetics loads the gun, it doesn't pull the trigger, lifestyle pulls the trigger. And I was like, it's devastating, really, to realize, like, all of those years making these sorrowful outcomes come to fruition by, you know, the church fellowships and the crawfish boils and the birthday parties and the Christmases and the Thanksgivings. All of our happiest times are literally the biggest culprits in why we all standing around dressed up in his funeral home today. Again, as I learned from Dr. Esselstyn and I started to, Google, like I call nutritionfacts.org the plant-based Google. Like as I
Totally.
started to like look at conditions and start to understand things, like, oh, it's just a matter of what we put into our mouths. I think that's the truth. I'm going to behave that way and see. And lo and behold, oh my goodness. Yeah, all of that is accurate. It's that simple. We do need to extremely limit, if not completely eliminate animal products. Let me close this door right quick.
Yeah.
My little nephew just got home and he doesn't
No
care
worries.
that Uncle Josh is on a podcast.
Why would he care?
he does not care. He wants his almond milk.
Is
His
that Uncle
after
Josh's
school
house, huh?
treat. Yeah. So it's
Cool.
a little knucklehead.
So
No,
you,
he's at his grandma. He's out. I'm at my mom's right now. This is where I work here. So my mom lives at the mobile home park that me and my brother operate. So if I need to get into a Wi-Fi hotspot to do an interview or something, if I'm not close to my house, I can pop in over here at mom's.
oh, right on.
Yeah. So I
little
don't have to be
remote.
out on a cellular network. Yeah.
Yeah, your remote office at your mom's place.
Yes, exactly. It's just an iPhone with a I'm literally, my iPhone magnetically clung to a paint can.
How's this for a podcast setup? Yeah, exactly. It's not rich roll, huh? But
Form follows function. That is such a Bam Bam thing. If you could see my setup right here, this is very Bam Bam. He would be proud.
that's awesome. Well, Josh, it's been like a real pleasure connecting with you and hearing a little bit deeper of your story and the work that you're doing. And it seems like it's not ending. I was talking with Howard. I had Howard on my podcast
Yeah.
a couple months ago, and he was sharing a little bit about WellStart and that
Yes.
project. And, it's
Yes.
very, very much rippling out in so many directions. And, you're rippling out in the ultra endurance running world, and your running group, which I think was a secret, is very much no longer a secret.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So just curious, is it still an active place where people are receiving support? And very much so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an active place right now where the Saints fans are talking smack to all of the Houston Texans fans in the group, but it's all done in love.
So it's a
Yeah, no, it's
trash
complete.
talking as
Yeah, it's a group of dudes, man. Like, that's the thing. How many groups and not everybody's in there. Not everybody in there is vegan, um, but many of us are. Many of us are. Many of us are not only plant-based but also vegan. We make sure to make that distinction, right? I know I do. I'm 90% plant-based because that's best for my health. I'm 100% plant-based for a bigger purpose, for a bigger reason, for the earth, for my earth mates, right? So you don't have to go if that's not your jam. That's fine. But we cannot argue over is the biological benefits of reducing, if not eliminating, animal products from your diet. Sorry, went down a rabbit hole there, but
no worries. Accepted. At least a few rabbit holes are mandatory on every conversation.
Yes.
So the WellStart, the Sick to Fit book that's relatively recently published.
It's all just ways. I mean, thank God I have such a powerful, well, like, aligned, brilliant partner in Howard Jacobson. This is what I'm talking about look, right? I mean, I'm just very lucky to have someone like him constantly pushing the rock, and I get to be me and interact and do stuff, and how he's helping. How do we grow? How do we breathe life into the thing, Josh? Hey, Josh, call me. Let's talk. Let's ideate around these 5 things. Let's get together and let's brainstorm over a solution, the potential solution. And he's that force in my life that helps me keep looking. How can we help more? What can we do more? How can we pump what you've learned through blood, sweat, and tears out into the universe? Because it needs this message, Josh. Yes, Rich was right. Keep sharing. And so to be able to have someone with as powerful a brain as Howard Jacobson behind me helping to fuel that endeavor, I mean, I'm just forever grateful and fortunate. And so, yeah, what has come from that has been, my own book with Howard. So I was able to, to put a lot of my story out into the world in book form, which is mind-boggling to me because books played such a big role in my transition. To be able to contribute to that pool of knowledge is just an honor. And WellStart, where it's a scary thing to build a company from scratch. And I have amazing partners in that endeavor as well with Olivia, and Howard brought me in touch with her. And, we're doing amazing things for people in with that organization. I'm very proud of what we've learned so far. It's just been a lot of hard work, a lot of angst and worry, but it's also been very enlightening and very useful, I think, to people who need it, and very rewarding for myself as well, as we continue to try to make things better and grow and learn and change and adapt. It's very dynamic. But that's the life I lived in. That was my grandfather. I grew up with my grandfather was an entrepreneur. So he built a trailer park. He had a construction company. He started a sewer company. He had all of these different irons in the fire. And I watched him problem solve on the fly every day. It might mean firing up the welding machine. It might mean getting some duct tape. It might mean, you know, turning a piece of PVC pipe into a handle or whatever the case was. It was form follows function. Let's get it done. There are no excuses. The buck stops right here with us. And so that's how I was brought up with my Bam Bam, and that's a lot. I feel like Howie and I have a lot of those same dynamics in what we're doing together as well.
Yeah, a quick question regarding the book, The Sick to Fit. Obviously, you co-wrote it with Howard, and both of your stories are kind of interwoven in that. Do you have any plans to like do your own thing, or like what inspired you to do this co-creation with Howard rather than just
That's actually a really good question, and and there's a couple of components to it. One is, you know, this is not my, like, actually helping people is not my forte. Like, I don't really know what I'm doing to actually sort of help people. And so Howie's brilliant in the coaching world, and I feel like he's my safety blanket, so I don't hurt anyone in this process. Right? I'm just a guy. But the reason that he has the chops to be that guy in my mind for what I want to do in the world is because, you know, the book Whole, like, changed my everything. The book Whole really changed everything. Like, after I was done being inspired by the running and to go plant-based and to do all of that stuff, then I started to dig deeper after I watched Forks Over Knives. Then I went into the China study, and I was just overwhelmed. And Whole, the book Whole that he co-authored with T. Colin Campbell, it gave me so much freedom. It let me breathe. Like, here are these brilliant people saying, no, stop looking at it on such a tiny, 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 you know, granular level. Let's float above it and try to see things in their beauty of their wholeness. And I love that concept. And it allowed me to really release a lot of the ideas that I had learned in the weightlifting world and in the football world with all of the macronutrient counting and the protein shakes, and like a lot of those things, a lot of those plates I was still trying to spin at the time, you know. It allowed me to release a lot of it and go, oh, just eat whole plant foods. And like Dr. Campbell says, just provide your body with a smorgasbord of nutrition and let it take from that smorgasbord what it needs. Stop trying to spot feed your body vitamin C and protein and carbohydrates, and like, stop. And I was like, wow, that really released a lot. And so that freed up it freed me up. And not only did it free up my mind, but it also made me feel, oh, this is doable for the rest of my life. I can just slide downhill for the rest of my life with this knowledge. That's basically what it felt like to me.
Yeah, that book is a much needed piece of literature in our reductionistic world. It's like such a refreshing wash of just pure wisdom. It's like, as I kind of call it sometimes, is if you just read this book, that alone will be enough with regard to your understanding of nutrition. Just
it's beautiful.
Any other book will just complicate things.
Yes.
So just read that and just stop.
This is what I mean.
Yeah.
And Howard Jacobson,
Yeah.
has chosen to be my partner. I mean, as long as he wants me, I want him. I don't care. I have zero desire to do things like I need him. I don't think we need each other. He would probably say we do, but I need him. And I want him around me because he just makes me a better person.
Cool. So back, you co-authored this book, and it sounds like he was a supportive figure in creating that, making it happen, obviously.
Yeah, he would give me homework. Like I had written a manifesto, and like really to help a friend of mine. He was like, hey, could you write down some stuff for me about, I would like to try to do something. So I took the time and wrote down in a pages document, and put pictures and book titles. And like, I really took my time to try and convince this guy, because I love him to death. I wanted him to get on board. And so I sent that to Rich Roll when he had me on, which is what I sent to Howard. And then Howard was like pulling that apart and going, okay, well, write me a whole chapter just about this part. I'm like, okay, I can do that. And he's like, don't worry about punctuation or paragraphing, just vomit it out, And that was very cathartic for me. It helped me learn a lot about what I had learned. And Howard was a big factor in that. Yeah, that was really that was really cool.
So do you feel like this writer, author, creator in that sense is being birthed through you, from you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do I have more to say I have more to say in book form? Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was asking.
Yes. Yes.
Well, we look forward to receiving it. Yeah.
Yes. And right. And Howie will be my facilitator in the process, I'm sure. But I know Howie and I we're just, just a hurricane of different ideas that we need to drill down on more, and we love it. That's a fun thing.
Well, after spilling all these stories, all this knowledge, all this wisdom out here for us all to enjoy, wondering if there is anything that you feel like is still left unsaid inside of you.
No, there isn't. Like, I feel because people are where they are. There's no perfect word or amount of inspiration or sentence that's going to get them to move off of that spot per se. The only thing I can say is if you think, if you think it's time to make a change, do it. That's it. Like, it doesn't have to be a plant-based change. I went and full bore meat-based to start, but it got me where I am right now. I wouldn't recommend that, but I'm just saying it got me where I am. And so change itself is what we're after. And if we make the right ones, we'll all wind up in a very similar place. So just get started and do something, not tomorrow, but today, right now. Do something different. Even if it's as small as get up out of the chair without using the arms. Just use your glutes and your core. Stand up, right? It doesn't matter. Do something different on purpose to spur some adaptation and some growth in areas that you've left dormant for a while.
Sounds easy. Let's do it.
Let's do it, baby.
Let's do it. All right, Josh, it's been such a pleasure and honor and a lot of fun connecting. And I know you're on Instagram. Is that your main place where you hang out? Or
Instagram is my jam. And obviously Facebook is also, that's where a lot of the people, Facebook's also huge. So I do a lot of Facebook as well. I just downloaded TikTok like yesterday. I don't even know how to mess with it, but I'm fascinated.
What the heck is that?
It's a new social media platform. It's for the younger crowd, but I love making videos with music. I use my IG stories all the time in that capacity. And this is an entire platform just for that. So totally lost. I haven't made a post yet, but I'm so interested. I'm so fascinated by it. It's just another rock to turn over and explore. It's interesting.
Awesome. Well, maybe you'll connect, maybe you'll rattle some high schoolers, some teenagers, or whoever's on the TikTok. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. Spit some game at them.
All right, Josh. Well, thanks again for your time, and peace and love. Until next time.
Peace, brother.